What's going on, Sarasota? My name is Brad Hannon.
Trey Martell.
Felipe Colón.
And we got one of Sarasota's finest today here with us, Brandon Nadal. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Brandon comes to us today to talk about something pretty interesting, Expediting America.
Yes, sir. Yep.
What's this all about?
So it's cargo van expediting. Expediting is a form of shipping, which means like time-sensitive, time-critical freight from point A to point B, usually over long distances, like 500 miles or more. So they need it there next day, pretty much. I try to do like 1,000 miles a day. That's my goal. But yeah, so OTR expediting is the cargo van side of shipping.
Okay, so it's like stuff you don't want to throw in a big, freight liner or...
Give us some examples of the cargoes you do.
So a lot of stuff that we do is for infrastructure, like power plants, like if something breaks down, conveyor belts at factories. We do a lot of parts for like Ford, Procter and Gamble, you just name the company, whatever they need shipped. I mean, there's companies all over shipping stuff that we don't even think about all day long. Right now, the stuff that, we don't ever think about. We take for granted,
What's the expression, Felipe? Felipe is the king of expression, so I'll ask him. You can either have it fast, good, or whatever, but you can't have all three. Actually, I think
2 out of 3.
Yeah,
it's 2 out of 3.
Usually, it's a car.
Cheap.
It comes from the car
cheap,
world, right?
Fast, or quality,
cheap,
right?
Cheap, fast, reliable. Choose 2.
Right, you can choose 2, but like with the expediting, you're getting it fast, so you probably ain't getting it cheap.
No,
that's
actually, the rates are really down right now. It's a horrible business to get into right now.
They're trying to kill the competition.
And no, it's the reality. There's just it's so easy to get in this business.
Didn't a leading trucking company go out of business literally last week?
Yeah, I think it was Yellow or something.
Yellow
like
went out of business, right?
So,
wow.
So they're disseminating a lot of freight between the other carriers now. So a lot of freight's going all over the place. But I mean, it's a tough time for big truckers all the way down to us. Just rates aren't what they should be. They're probably about a half of what they should be.
No kidding.
Yeah.
But you're in it, so you're just going for it? Or what?
That's why I try to do 1,000 miles a day, man, so I can make the money that, I want to make, and... some people probably be like, why are you doing this? Why are you busting?
How'd you get into it? How about that?
Well, I didn't go looking for it. I was doing construction at the time when Corona was around. Oh, can we say that?
Yeah.
So when that was around and when lumber went really high and things slowed down, I wasn't trying to wait for a paycheck. So I was looking for jobs. I applied for everything. And I just happened to come across a company based out of Venice, Florida, mom and pop company pretty much. So a small carrier with 2 vans, and they hired me on the spot. Well, not really. Actually, when I went for the interview, I got a flat tire, so I didn't even make it.
Oh, man.
The good old car
yeah,
problems.
exactly.
Can't count on this guy to drive my car.
I didn't want to call the guy and tell him, and then I did, and he's like, oh, no problem, because I'm sure it's hard to get people to really be,
You're probably the first person in the history of interviews who actually did have a flat.
I really
use it as an excuse. The old joke is, oh, you had a flat, which one was it?
Yeah, no, it was the passenger right side.
There you go. He's got an answer.
Yeah.
I had an agent literally have a flat and then said they were moving back to like Chicago because they're like I'm not going to make it in. I just had a flat tire. I'm just over this. I'm moving back to Chicago. Because the flat tire or because you hate it here.
Well, that person would never flake on you in any other business circumstance.
Ever.
No, never.
Well, I want to back up a little bit because we'll talk about Expediting America and all that stuff, but we just dove right the heck in, man.
Yeah. Tell
us a little bit, like remind the audience, who you are, and we'll get back to the story about Expediting America and all that good stuff.
A lot of people might know me in town for music. I did music for a long time as SOTA's finest. I did that for a long time. I ended up having a hip hop R&B soul band at the same time I was doing construction and doing all that. Mm-hmm. So, and I put my album out. I had State of the Art 2 I put out. So I've been doing music for a while. But all that kind of came to a head. It was really weird how like during that situation where I stopped doing music, I stopped doing it all and I got out on the road and I disconnected from social media, from everything. Just because, I don't know, in a way I maybe was running from something, at the time. But it was therapeutic to get out on the road and be by myself and be with God, and that's it. And work through things that I needed to work through. But yeah, so it was music. That was my whole life pretty much, So it was kind of hard for me to stop doing that.
So when you say you got into it, not necessarily for the money, it's really because you do really enjoy the spending time on the road and whatnot.
I actually enjoy it more every day now than I did the first 2 years. When I was driving for a fleet owner when I first started. I wasn't working for myself.
Right.
So I've only been working for myself for 7 months, but this 7 months has been like amazing. You know, profit's good. I'm able to take time off when I want to, because before I was pushing myself. Like, I wouldn't stop. I would try to do 5,000 miles a week and not stop, you know?
Isn't there limits though to how much you can do? Because I own a moving company, and like you have to keep the logbook and all this stuff.
So if
you
you're
just
hauling,
fly under the radar.
If you're hauling over 10,000 pounds, you got to be under DOT regulation, where you got to stop at weigh stations. You get harassed by the DOT, Department of Transportation.
Yeah.
But I'm under 10,000 pounds.
Okay.
So even loaded, I'm under 10,000 pounds. I can haul 4,000 pounds, 3 pallets. So, you know,
So you don't have to.
He's
abide
less
by
regulated.
those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's nice.
And is it similar to like hot shotting, or is that you're not really ever towing anything? Because I got a good buddy of mine that does hot shotting, basically towing trailers.
It's
and things
similar,
like that.
but it's not as like hot shotting's not as rushed. Expediting, just because you don't have to be under DOT and you don't have the limits. I can drive 16 hours a day if I want to. You know, most truck drivers can't. They have to do a time off and do a reset and all this stuff for safety, which is imperative, which I think should actually happen. You know, we need some regulation.
Yeah.
But since we don't, I mean, I'm taking full advantage of it.
What's the longest you ever drove without stopping?
Like 1,300 miles, so like 20 hours.
That's pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
You drink a lot of coffee?
Yeah, actually, I'm starting a coffee brand, actually. Yeah.
4 Expediters.
So
He drinks so much coffee, he had to buy the company.
Well, I was getting coffee one day, and my dog's name is Bubba Joe, and I got in the van. I was like, "It's a good cup of Joe, huh, Joe?" And I was like, "Wait a minute," because I call him Road Dog Joe. So
That's awesome.
It's like Road Dog Joe coffee. People call it Coffee Joe, so it just makes sense. Road Dog Joe. And so that's launching at the end of this month, hopefully, if everything goes
Road Dog Joe. That actually is.
I like it.
Freaking clever.
Yeah, he's the star of the show. He's the boss. You know, he's really what keeps me sane on the road, because I don't think I could do what I do if I was by myself.
You're not 100% alone.
If you weren't able to have a conversation with a dog,
Yeah,
it keeps you sane.
after 16 hours, he starts talking back.
That's when he knows. All right, I got to give it a rest.
What was that, Bubba Joe? You want Burger King?
Me too.
Well, listen, I want to talk about the YouTube channel a little bit, because that's, originally I think he sent me the video and I'm like, oh man, this is really cool what you're doing. But is the YouTube channel secondary to what you're doing, or is it primary? Like,
No, it's secondary. Trucking is primary. I got to pay my bills first. YouTube, I've about 10,000 subscribers right now. I get like 30 to 50 a day, which is really good. But I'm only making like $300, $400, $500 a month off that. So when I can get it up to $2-3 grand, I'll start probably scaling back on driving so much. I almost bought a van last week, and started hiring drivers and stuff. But I think now's not the time to invest, I don't think, and grow right now. So
is the YouTube channel blowing up because that industry is kind of a well-known industry? I mean, it's an unknown to us maybe, but is it kind of a well-known industry out there?
I think people want to find things that they can start and be owners of and have a low cost of entry to enter, and this is pretty easy. I mean, your yearly license fee is $300. You got to buy your van. Your insurance is pretty expensive, and your gas.
I heard you say something like that, $1,800 a month or something.
Yeah, well, it was $1,850 a month. Yep. Yeah.
Was that because you were a startup and weren't established?
It's
and
Florida.
Went down?
Florida has horrible rates. It's very hard to get away from bad rates in Florida. I'm almost moved up to Ohio to my grandmother's place and put my address there, but I ended up signing under my carrier and going under their insurance. So now it's $950 a month, which is substantially different. Yeah,
it's half.
Yeah,
literally.
I just gave myself a little raise. So.
Yeah, the thing that was interesting watching that one video is you're like, you got rid of everything. I mean, you got your truck and your dog. You got Bubba Joe, and you got some packages in the back, and you're just kind of like all over the place.
Yeah, I got a bed back there and stuff like that. But when I was only home for 30 days, my first year driving, and I was paying rent for a place, it just didn't make sense to me. So eventually I'll come back to Sarasota full time. But for right now, it's too darn expensive.
When you're on the road, how often do you sleep in the van versus how often do you get a hotel?
95% of the time I'm sleeping in the van.
Gotcha.
I have a budget of a few $100 every month in case it's like too hot or the van breaks down, I need to get a place or something like that, but I hardly ever use it.
Where do you shower at?
Planet Fitness. Okay. Yeah, so you get a Planet Fitness, you go stretch in the morning, you work out, obviously, and you tan, obviously, and then you get back on the road.
So you're saying you don't shower often?
No, I shower 3-4 times a week. Yeah.
Why you got to put him on blast, Trey?
Do I stink right now?
No, he's doing it.
You know, despite the 20 hours of driving, that sounds like a pretty healthy lifestyle. You know, you're getting your stretching, you're getting your workout.
Well, besides
Well,
the 20
actually-
hours sitting in a
Besides the 20
seat.
hours of
He
driving.
plays basketball sometimes.
Yeah, no,
Or
I play
cycling.
basketball. I have Joe with me, so I always, walk him like every 4 hours. We go on hikes and stuff like that. So it's actually pretty cool.
Do you have to essentially take one or two things somewhere, or you mentioned like 3 pallets? Is it typically like, you're picking up one thing that's very important, they need it quickly and bringing it here, or is it more like here's a load that has to go here, here, and here?
No, most of the time it's direct. It's just one for one company. Unless I want to go rogue and start, booking loads by myself, which I had a situation 3 weeks ago where I had to be in California, but it was a holiday weekend and I was in Georgia, and holiday weekends are impossible to get freight. So I was going to deadhead, which means driving without freight in the back from the East Coast to West Coast, which would have cost me like $1,500 gas. But on the way back from the West Coast to East Coast, I had a great rate with a private shipper. So it made sense to me to even deadhead there. But along the way, I was finding stuff from like private shippers and people on apps like UShip and stuff like that. And I covered like my costs and then made a few dollars on top of that. I did 70 cents a mile, which is not great, but it's not bad considering I was going to deadhead there.
Right.
So sometimes it is dedicated freight to where it's going one place to another. But if I want to, I can go ahead and hustle it and get a bunch of stuff. And
As long as you're getting everything there on time, you're good.
Yeah, and in those cases, you can usually set up the times to where you drop off and stuff like that because you're coordinating everything yourself, which makes it a little bit more difficult logistics wise. But if you watch my last video that I posted, I have a 3-part series I'm posting right now where I did that situation, and it's pretty wild to watch.
Yeah, just since we're talking about it, throw out your YouTube channel because I thought it was pretty interesting. I mean, Trey says he's watching it all the time.
It's Expediting America.
Expediting America. Yep. Okay. And on that video, one of the ones I saw, you said you learned everything from YouTube essentially, like how to start and all that.
Yeah, I watched other YouTubers that essentially did the same thing as me, and even kind of copied their formula in a sense. Because I think when you start a YouTube channel, you kind of got to do a little research on other things in your area, in your niche, and then obviously put your own flavor into it. So I took what other people were doing and added like a bunch of, I really try to make my show like something you turn on TV and watch on like A&E or something like that, some documentary. Like I try to make it like that, as informative for people that want to get in the business, but I also try to deter people from the business and be real with them. And
by telling them that you're getting half what you should.
That, and it's just, people, even though it's half, people see the numbers of thousands of dollars and they're like, oh, I'm going to just jump in a van and start making thousands of dollars. But they see the gross, not the net. So I started showing them the net, and now it's like people are like second guessing getting in the business. Some people have told me, hey, I was thinking about getting in the business, watch your videos, and now I'm just going to wait.
I'm good.
Yeah.
That's real encouraging.
What percentage of your audience do you think is interested in getting in the business versus just me?
I would say probably 30% are drivers in the industry. Probably 30% want to get in the game, and then like the other 40% might.
They just got hooked.
Yeah.
They just watched the video and they got hooked.
The other percentage are people like Trey who just like watching people work.
Yeah.
They find it amusing.
I stick around to the end because that's when he does the cost breakdown. That's the cherry on top for me.
Yeah, a lot of people like that. And I think everyone should really have a YouTube. I mean, it's your intellectual property, and someone's going to relate to you. In fact, a lot more people than you think will relate to you.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, if you're a stay-at-home mom or a construction worker, it doesn't really matter. It's interesting to people, It's just all a matter of editing and being consistent, So a lot of people put a few videos out and like, oh, no one's watching. So it's like,
consistency, right? So you're almost like basically like an independent reality TV show. I mean, how much do you think your performance background, which, I didn't grow up here, so I don't remember you from that. But, they tell me you were quite the rapper and performer. How much do you think that background helped you start this channel and grow it to 10,000 subscribers?
I think it helped me because I learned to push through my fear and anxiety. Because I even coming here, I was terrified, like my anxiety was really high. And people are like, we don't never see that from you. But I have a speech impediment. You can notice it sometimes because I get nervous. But I dealt with that doing my music. And it was still hard for me to put myself in front of a camera. If you notice my music, I only have 2 music videos out my whole music career, which was 15, 20 years, So just because I was afraid to kind of put myself out there, and I had to kind of face that fear. And I do every time I turn that camera on and record, and people don't realize that they're like, oh, well, I would do YouTube, but I'm afraid to. And like, you don't think I'm scared? I'm scared every single time I record, but I still do it. You know, I push through and make it happen. So
I know someone like that who's sitting at this table.
Yeah.
Well, one of the like interesting things though is you film it and then you edit and put it out there. One of the reasons, like I jumped into YouTube 3 years ago, and you know, one of my like when I sat with Eric, I said, listen, here's the deal. Like, if we do this, we're gonna film things in like one take as much as possible, right? Unless I totally screw up, we're gonna film it in one take, and I want it, you know, produced minimally and then put out there just kind of more real and raw. Like we do a lot of like, we do intro music, we do all of that stuff now, but I didn't want to watch it. I never wanted to watch myself. So is it hard to watch yourself, or
especially in the editing process, because I have to watch myself over and over and over again.
Well, sometimes because he likes to watch himself a lot, I think, you know. But he talks about it. He talks about it from a standpoint, like a lot of times he's like, well, I just trying to improve and things, right? And I don't know. I mean, do you, just shooting the shit here, do you think you improve more by doing it, or do you think you improve more by watching yourself? And like, if you had to choose one, obviously both probably play into it.
Right. I think more doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. See,
It's also
stop watching yourself, Trey.
the editing process also has to, you know, eat some of that downtime up on the road, right?
And that's why I went from being an owner operator trying to book my own loads to going back to my carrier and having them book my loads, because when I had my downtime, I didn't want to be booking loads. I didn't want to talk to brokers and dispatchers and get told no and have to go back and forth. So I'd rather rest, go on hikes with my dog, or work on YouTube videos in my spare time, or go to the gym and shower.
Yes.
There you go. Tell us how the relationship between a expediter and a carrier works.
So the carrier is the person who has the authority. Unless, you know, expediters can have the authority too. You can be an owner operator and have your own authority. And you can go on the load boards and book the loads and stuff like that. But I go through a carrier, and it's just a lot easier. You know, it's just, they know what I want. They know what I'll take, where I want to go. So they don't really give me the junk, you know, they give me the good stuff. So, and I can choose where I want to go. You know, they put a rate out there. I tell them yes or no, or I tell them higher or lower. Never lower, obviously.
I'll do it for less.
Sometimes sometimes you get in spots where it's a dead zone. It's hard to get freight out, and you're sitting for 2 days.
You don't want to deadhead it.
Yeah, I don't want to deadhead it. So I'll go down sometimes to like 70 cents, and it's like kind of like forbidden in the industry. People are like, oh, you're going for cheap rates, but
I think we know what Trey's going to get into.
Cheap rate is better than no rate, right?
Yeah, cheap rate. As long as it's a game of averages, you know. So that's why I say as long as I do, because a lot of people go out for 2 or 3 weeks at a time. But what if your first week is slow, your second week is okay, and your third week is slow? Like, I'm not going to go home off that. So I try to do 8 weeks before I really take time off. And I'm actually trying to shoot for 6 months and then take a month off. But we'll see how that goes. I did 4 months. That was my longest.
6 months, a long freaking time to be just on the road. But I can imagine there's a lot of healing aspects of it too. A lot of, you know, personal growth aspects.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about all the time listening to YouTube, or I listen to a lot of podcasts. You listen to podcasts too, like books, you know, audio books, things like that. If I had that much windshield time, I'd be listening to a lot of freaking books, a lot of, you know, podcasts, taking in just a lot of, you know, content. Yeah. Hey, you know what time it is, Sarasota? It's time for the rapid fire questions. We're going to learn a little bit more about Brandon Nadal right now.
This is Brandon Nadal, and this is Rapid Fire. Tupac. The cheapest.
Dollar bills, y'all.
A prototype bike for Harley Davidson, which was pretty dope. To their testing grounds in Yuma, Arizona. Yeah, it's pretty dope. Carmel by the Sea over there in California. Beautiful place. Coffee. Iced coffee. Coffee. Bubba Joe. My dog. Lifetime supply. The Street Sharks. It was a cartoon from way back in the day. Sharks on rollerblades.
Half shark, half man, fighting evil, that's the plan. Street sharks.
Yes, I may be one. I would say over there by Van Wezel, probably over there by the water, just chilling. Yes, of course.
I feel the need for speed.
All right, so now that you have 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, do you ever get recognized in public?
Yeah, actually a few times. Yeah,
How'd that make you feel?
A handful of times this year. There was one time I actually posted what hotel I was staying at while I was in Dallas. And I should have done it after, because this guy like showed up in my lobby while I was walking out, and we had a great conversation, you know. But it was just kind of like I wasn't ready for it, you know. So, but yeah, I have ran into people.
Little fangirlish.
A little bit, but it's cool though. It's really neat to connect with people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like from all over the world, really. So it is cool, but
it's Trey's favorite part of doing this. He's just really. I mean, if you're out there in the streets, Sarasota, and you see Trey, and you recognize him from Sarasota SpeaX Podcast, not like you went to high school with him. You got to give him a shout out. You got to go up to him and be like, "You're Trey from Sarasota SpeaX."
Well, Felipe got excited as well. We had two people at the firefighter chili cook-off.
I'm just not memorable, I guess. No one's ever done it for me.
I was like, go say hi to Brad. Yeah, so another character in your show is Bubba Joe.
Yeah.
He seems to get a lot of love on the comment section of YouTube.
He's the boss, man. He's the boss, man. You know. So yeah, he's the reason I think the channel grew as fast as it did. You know, I give him a lot of props.
Maybe we need to get a dog on the podcast.
You give right.
Right?
There's an idea.
Seriously, just
I
have
thought
like
we
a
had
pug
one.
like sit on the table.
I thought we had one.
How long had you had the dog?
I've had him for 6 years.
6 years. Okay,
Yeah.
so he was your pet prior to the
Yeah.
the company.
Yeah, he didn't just get the
Expediting.
dog as a prop for
Well,
his show.
I was thinking maybe.
I see where you're going with that.
No, maybe he got the dog as a travel companion.
Yeah, I would. For
Yeah,
sure.
when I first started, I had him at home with my girlfriend at the time, and I did it myself, you know, and then I was kind of hesitant towards having him on the road with me because I didn't know how it would be for him, you know. I didn't want to put him in that situation and him being miserable, but he actually loves it. You know, he sits in the front seat, always looking forward, where we're going next, you know. And
What dog doesn't love car rides?
Oh, man, he loves it, you know, so.
And he looked over that one time. He goes, "I can't believe you're taking 70 cents a mile."
I need cheats. They're not cheap.
What? How many states have you been to?
Been to 48 states. I haven't done, obviously, Alaska and Hawaii.
Right.
I've been to all of them.
Yeah, you can't drive there, can you?
Yeah, no, I can get on a boat, though, and head over there one day. I don't know.
That's crazy, man. 48 states. And how long you been doing it?
3 years now, coming up on 3
Okay,
years.
so yeah.
So your dream going forward, how big do you want to get? You mentioned boats. Do you want to be in the shipping industry, large scale?
Not really, because I feel like sometimes it's not worth the headache, you know, at least for me. Like, I feel like I like where I'm at right now. I do want to scale, but I don't want to scale too large to where it's just like too much to manage, you know. I like to have 5 vans. But, you know, it's in time. I'm like I said, I almost bought one like a week and a half ago, but it's just not the time right now, I don't think.
Well, you figure with the YouTube channel and your following, it would make it very easy to hire that next driver, right?
It would make it easy to find applicants, but to find someone that is ready for the road, like I do it, you know, because I expect people to work pretty hard, you know, like almost like I do, you know. So there's a lot of people hitting me up every day. Hey, you got a spot for me to drive? You got a spot for me to drive? All the time. But when that time comes, I'll be good.
Would that make you the carrier then, or would you or a carrier? Or would
No,
you?
I just own multiple vans, and they'd be signed up under my carrier still until I start my own thing. I might even help the carrier I work with. I might, you know, become a business partner with them because I started with them from the beginning and helped them. The first year I drove for them, I drove 160,000 miles. So I built.
Is there like a leaderboard?
Well, I'm in the lead.
That's what I was going to say. Is there a leaderboard? That's sweet.
Yeah. So I built a lot of connections for them, and they respect it and appreciate me, and they show it. You know.
So how often would one have to buy a new van if you're doing 160,000 miles in a year?
The gas engine sprinters will go about 400,000 miles, 500,000, and the diesels will go 1 million.
Yeah.
So
did you go diesel or did you go gas?
I have gas.
Okay.
I have gas, but
I would suggest next time you go diesel.
I had a diesel before when I was
That
driving for
business
the
brain.
but the DEF system on there.
Yeah, it's true.
That causes a lot of problems.
Modern diesels. Don't get me started. We could talk about that for
So
a while.
when you add up all the expenses dealing with the DEF system and everything, and plus gas is cheaper. It kind of evens out.
You gonna put this podcast on your YouTube? I think you should.
Of course.
It's freaking good. I mean, it's
probably
great.
one of the
It's great expediting America, content.
Yeah,
we're
no,
doing
I
here.
agree. I agree.
Well, speaking of that, let's shift back to Sarasota. You got some Sarasota
Wait.
questions.
I have one more
Felipe?
question.
Oh,
I have
okay,
one more
fine,
question.
fine.
I really the business model is interesting, and the driver that you have underneath you, right, in your fold, if you will. Let's say the load is $1 a mile. I don't know what a good price is. Does that mean you're getting 10 cents a mile? They're getting 90.
No,
or is
so
there
when I came into the game under my carrier, they gave me a 60-40 split. So I got 60%, they got 40%, but I paid gas and tolls.
Okay.
And then when gas went crazy expensive, which a lot of carriers don't do this, but they gave me a higher percentage. They gave me it was 65-35. It actually went up to 70-30, but then gas came down a little bit, so they went to 65-35. So I'd probably do 65-35, and I might pay a little bit of the gas too, because I know what it's like being out there.
But if you're doing if the carrier you have is doing 65-35 with you, how are you going to do 65?
The carrier only take 14% off each load.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
They were doing that with me when I was driving their vehicle.
14 off the top, and then 65-35 for the remainder.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really, I mean, you're not going to make a killing off a van. That's why I want to have like 5. Each one maybe $3 to $5 grand a month, after expenses are paid. So it's almost like a rental property,
solid.
like a really nice rental property. But
really nice if you get the diesel though. It'd be like an average rental property if you get the gas.
We'll see. I mean, it just depends. I mean, prices are coming down right now.
The
so I'm just
diesel's like
watching
a
the
house
market.
with a pool.
That's exactly.
There you go.
Man,
Premium.
Y'all making me feel like a little guy over here.
I understand why you got the gas. It makes sense.
Well, honestly, the way I got this van was a subscriber of mine. He was in the business. He actually was one of the people I signed up under my care, which I never do. So, because I got him in the game and he was doing really well, he ended up getting a job paying like 12 grand a month base pay with incentives. So he's like, I was going to sell my van or keep it, but I know what you're trying to do. He's like, just take over the payments and the van's yours,
Wow.
So he had an authority under the van. So when I started, the reason I had an authority and was booking my own loads is because it all came in a package. I kind of bought the business.
Right.
But then I just dissolved that and, saved some money and kept trucking.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Kept trucking. I love it.
Well said.
All right, now we can pivot, Trey.
Go ahead.
So, one of the things we talk about on this podcast a lot is you grew up here in Sarasota. You know how it is. Most of the people you saw coming up who were really doing things probably did it on their own. There's not a lot of big employers here. There's not. We just don't have that kind of diverse economy.
Right.
So how did you, you probably knew when you were coming up, you did your own thing with the music. Now you're doing your own thing with the shipping and the YouTube that goes with it.
Right.
Like, how did you decide on that? Like, what was the origin story, kind of like the process? Like you just said, this sounds good because I know I can drive more and no one can control how much money I make. Like, what was the...
Yeah, I like being in control of what I make. You know what I mean?
Like, you can put sweat equity into your own business and make more.
Exactly.
And not have to rely on someone else.
Yeah, and if I want to take time off like I did this week, I can take time off. It's like, it's nice, and it's hard. It's been hard for me to take time off, actually, 'cause I'm so used to being on the go all the time.
You want to just do it.
I just want to make money and go.
And you're doing the math to take time off. You're spending money and not making money, and then you're doing
Well, that's why when I take time off, last time I took time off, I went to Colombia. It's cheap. It's cheaper to do something like that, go overseas and travel, than it is to stay here for a week and get a hotel. I
believe it. Yeah.
It's crazy. So
if you're here, you need to crash on somebody's guest bedroom or something. You know enough people around here. You shouldn't be getting a hotel.
Yeah. But the Hilton's nice.
This couch right here, you can sleep with this couch,
True Love will put you up.
Yeah, you would.
I'll go hang out at True Love.
So just like Colombia.
I was in him forever.
What would be your advice to somebody who is younger, looking at opportunities like this and maybe some other opportunities? Like, what do you think are the skills and things needed to get started in what you're doing?
Time management, just being responsible, because it's so easy to sleep in or something like that. I go off 3-4 hours of sleep a night. So if you're not used to that,
it'd be real easy to sleep in for that.
Oh yeah. So because I usually sleep from 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. when it's super dark, and then wake up. Usually the sun starts coming up, and that's when I'm able to just go all day.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, just got to be able to have time management, be responsible, and be willing to put in the work, man. Because a lot of people want to get in here and take like 1 or 2 loads a week, and it's not going to happen.
Let's bring it back to Sarasota if we would, right? Because you're born here, right?
Born in Fairfax,
Okay,
Virginia,
but
but I lived here my whole life.
Here.
Yeah, my mom was
here.
on a road trip down here, and I was like, "Get me out of here!" And I happened to be in Virginia, so
There you go.
Yeah.
What just like, get me out of here. What do you miss most about Sarasota? Like
The
when
beach.
you're back, you're happy. What do you
the beach,
Okay.
just the vibe, man. You know, just going downtown and hanging out. Like a lot of people take it for granted, you know, but those people never leave Sarasota. They don't understand what everywhere else is like. You know, there's some nice towns out there, but we live in paradise.
Yeah.
I mean, it is beautiful here, you know, and the sunsets, just the people, my friends, you know. I just love it. I always come back here, you know, one way or another.
We just did another episode, filmed another episode previously, and that's exactly what we were talking about. But I do think getting away for even a brief period of time is like, you know, very eye-opening to when you
for
come
sure.
back.
Helps you appreciate Sarasota
time.
more.
Big
Yeah, it's
time.
so easy to complain when you stay in the same
So
area. but-
you're back. Your vacation's just starting or ending?
Nah, it's just ending. I'm
Okay,
trying
so
to leave
what were
tomorrow.
some of the spots that you made sure that you hit while you were home?
I love Cha-Cha Coconuts.
There you
So
go.
that's my spot. I've been going there since I was a kid. You know what I mean? So I love Cha-Cha Coconuts. Just going down, I really just took it easy, man. I worked on a lot of footage while I was here. So I have like 2 months of footage I have to go through, probably like 12, 15 episodes that I have.
Jeez.
So that takes a lot of time. And I was really just trying to just chill. I really didn't hit up many people this time. You know, people were like, oh, why didn't we hang out? You know, it's like,
Yeah, just laying low.
man, I just got to chill, you know? So, yeah.
What's your favorite restaurant outside of Cha-Cha Coconuts?
Daruma.
There you go.
Two
Super two today.
Sarasota classics, huh?
I knew Trey would get stoked
Daruma.
about
I've been
that
there
one.
since I've been going there since the Quay, you know? So,
The Quay.
yeah.
That's before my time, but I hear about it. They always speak fondly of the Quay. That's right.
Yeah, in extremist.
An
But,
extremist
you know,
team.
Well, there
Nice.
used to always be an argument, Joe Toes or Daruma, and that argument's now settled. So
Yeah, I think.
Joe Toe's on
good.
Siesta Key.
No, Joe Toes by the airport.
They had one on
Oh,
Siesta Key
that's right,
for
that's
a brief
right.
period.
Yeah,
They
Yeah,
don't
they
have
used to be banging.
They're both out of business. They
The
don't
one,
have
the
any-
one just closed by the airport. I heard.
Yeah, they don't have any locations now.
Daruma.
They're no toes.
They're no toes. They're no toes. I love it.
So your audience on the podcast is obviously not just people in Sarasota. It's
YouTube.
worldwide, or
Maybe,
yeah, YouTube.
maybe
That's what I meant.
maybe a small percentage.
Right.
I mean,
So, you know, but this is where you're from. This is the place that kind of made you. You know what I mean? So, like,
sure.
what would you want people who are avid viewers of your YouTube to know about Sarasota?
to know about Sarasota. Don't come here. Stop bothering us. There's too many people down here. I don't like it here. Actually, you know what? I take it
Take
back.
back everything I said.
Yeah, no. It's beautiful. It's expensive, you know. But it's really tough for people to make it here right now, and I'm kind of glad I got taken out of here. And when I come back, I'm gonna set up another business, you know, and start doing other things. I have a lot of plans. I want to do after school programs for kids and stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff I want to tackle, but for right now, I'm just trying to focus on this.
Love it.
Yeah.
What didn't you have a previous business prior to Expediting America?
No.
No. I thought you were running a pawn shop for a while.
Oh, I was
Did I make that
buying
up?
gold and silver and stuff
Okay,
like that.
gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
antiques. I was doing that for a while. Yeah, I worked at the pizzeria for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, I did that. I've sold Kirby vacuums door to door. I've done everything. You know, like you name it. I've done childcare. I've done summer camps for the county. You know, I've done everything. So I feel like God kind of prepared me. I actually did driving for Donald Carlson cleaners for Donald's dad. I did that for a while. You know,
Friend of the show.
yeah,
Friend
good
of the
people,
show.
great family, man. So yeah, I miss this town. The more I talk about it, the more I miss it. You know, so that's why on the
You gotta
road
get
I
outta here.
disconnect. You know, from
You
everything because
got to get back on the road, man.
yeah, if
You
I
gotta
start
go.
seeing pictures of people back home with their kids, I'm like, man, I want to be home. You know, I want to start a family and stuff like that. But right now, it's just not the time for me.
Yeah.
You know,
So when you get back on the road, what's your first stop? Do you have any plans, or it's just whoever calls?
you never know. Like I was bidding on stuff to Las Vegas today from Orlando, but that already got taken. So I don't know. Every day
that
is
seems
different.
like that
you know,
might be a good trip that a lot of people want, right?
I want to go to
oh.
Vegas because my friend Josh is out there. He just had his son, so that's one reason I want to go out there. But getting out there and then getting out of Vegas because there's not a lot of stuff manufactured in Vegas, so you usually have to deadhead somewhere.
So if you take a load on the way in, you know you're coming out empty-handed.
Even you just never know. You never know. There's because sometimes we do for trade shows, we take booth space and we'll package those up and send them out. So it just really depends. A lot of stuff happens in Vegas, but you just never know with this business. You really don't.
Can someone go directly to you? Like, does anyone ever reach out off of your YouTube channel and say, "Hey, man, you do this? Like, can you do this for?"
Yeah.
70 cents a
So
mile?
last week I hauled. I actually had the best week ever last week. I picked up in California for somebody that hit me up, and it was going to Davie, Florida. So when I dropped that off, they gave me a $300 tip. I only charged them like $250. It was a small corner cabinet to ship. And then in Dallas, I picked up a weight set and dropped that off in Sarasota. And the guy the guy that did that, he has a Airbnb in Costa Rica, and he's been trying to get this thing shipped forever. So the fact that I helped him out, he's like, I'll give you a week stay at my Airbnb in Costa Rica. So I got a $300 tip this week and a free stay in Costa Rica, which is pretty dope.
And were these leads from your YouTube followers?
Yeah, from my one was from YouTube and one was from a private shipper that I've worked with before that they just contacted me.
That's dope, though.
Yeah.
A week free in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, we're going, right?
All Sarasota speaks. It's Costa Rica.
Love Costa Rica. I've been several times.
I've been once. I'd love to go again. So
Well,
Pura Vida, right? You know, that's what I say.
I went to. I don't know what that means.
it's their little expression.
Pura Vida.
Would you know what it means?
Felipe Juan Colón.
What does it mean?
We're not doing this.
What does
now.
it mean? What does it mean, Felipe? What does it mean?
Pure life or something?
Oh, he said, yeah, I know what it means. And he's like,
Of course I know
like,
what it means. So a question we ask everybody on the show. You drive a lot, right? Roundabouts in Sarasota. Do you hate them or do you love them?
I actually like them. I probably can get a lot of hate for this, but I actually like them. I don't mind them. You know, when people know how to use them. You know, a lot of people stop and it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
but
get the hell out of
when
the way.
it flows and it's good. So I don't mind it.
I agree.
What's that?
You told me to stare at you if you forgot your question.
Oh, that's right. I appreciate you doing that. So we always talk about the roundabouts, but you know, we added on the last episode to that that was a bad stare. Should have been a casual stare, Trey. We added the red light cameras because I didn't know this until Brad brought to my attention. He had several of these red light tickets. The city has red light cameras that actually work.
Well, I don't have an address right now, so if I'm getting red light tickets, I have a lot of them. but yeah, F a red light camera.
Wouldn't you have to have an address for your license? You got to have something on your license.
Yeah, I have like a business post office box.
Yeah.
So.
Then that thing might be full. It might be full. It might be full.
We'll see.
And if anybody from the city is watching, the check's in the mail, right?
Right.
Don't know what happened.
Well, listen, man, it's good to see you, first of all.
Yeah, of course,
Appreciate
man.
you
Thank
coming
you
on.
guys.
I love
appreciate
following
Thanks for coming on, dude.
Expediting America. If you want to find this guy or check out what he's doing, go to Expediting America on YouTube. You can join the 10,000 other subscribers, but make sure you're subscribed here first, right?
And if you want to support the channel a little more, we got roaddogjoe.com for our merch too.
Boom,
so
Road Dog Joe.
roaddogjoe.com.
That's
we
genius.
We got the hats, we got the shirts, and then I have adventure shirts with my dog on them in like different settings around America. So
And the coffee.
and the coffee's coming. Road Dog Joe.
Road Dog Joe.
roaddogjoe.com.